Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Roman Reigns never fails to ensure that fans acknowledge him. He has always credited himself for running SmackDown, often referring to it as his show. However, the season premiere that aired on October 13, 2023 wasn't just about the Tribal Chief's return, but also the introduction of Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce as SmackDown's new general manager. It so happens that Adam Pearce has taken the show within his palm. He's issuing fines, getting Adam Pearce escorted from the building, and establishing that it's his show. This is something that no one has been able to do since Roman Reigns became the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Interestingly, controlling the show isn't the only common factor between Reigns and Aldis. Just like the Tribal Chief, Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce also holds a championship reign that lasted over 1,000 days. On October 21, 2018, Aldis defeated Cody Rhodes at NWA's 70th anniversary to become the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion. Aldis successfully defended the title against various challengers including Jake Hager, Jimmy Havoc, Cowboy James Storm, among others. His title reign was smooth sailing until 2021. Once NWA resumed events following COVID-19, Aldis' faction, Strictly Business, began a feud with Trevor Murdoch. During the feud, Murdoch earned a couple of title matches against Aldis but was unsuccessful until NWA's 73rd anniversary, where the duo battled in a title versus career match. Trevor Murdoch successfully defeated Nick Aldis to become the new champion, ending Aldis' title run of 1,043 days. Roman Reigns can smash some more records at Crown Jewel 2023. WWE SmackDown is currently promoting one of the most high-profile matches for Crown Jewel 2023. The sports entertainment giant has booked a match between WWE's top heel Roman Reigns versus WWE's top babyface LA Knight. While the chances of Knight defeating Reigns are slim, you can never say never. However, if Knight pulls off the impossible, it may actually become disheartening for fans. At least, that's what Corey Graves believes. Graves spoke during WWE's After the Bell and reiterated the importance of Reigns breaking the few records that remain. Unfortunately, that's only possible if LA Knight is unsuccessful in dethroning the Tribal Chief. Maybe LA Knight does manage to pull off the impossible. In which case, yes, it screws up all of Roman's grandiose plans for the record books. The few records that are left that he hasn't overtaken already. That would be a little disheartening and disappointing from a fan's perspective. Roman Reigns and LA Knight are scheduled for the Crown Jewel 2023 contract signing on the October 27, 2023 edition of WWE SmackDown. Adam Pearce, I was getting ready to face Roman Reigns. A match with him would have been incredible earlier this year, right before January's Royal Rumble pay-per-view. A storyline between Adam Pearce and Roman Reigns began brewing, and it looked like Pearce would end up challenging the WWE Universal Champion for the title. While that match never came to be, Pearce says that he actually wouldn't have minded facing off against the Tribal Chief. Well, I think it goes to show with anything that happens in WWE, there is one voice that makes things happen, Vince McMahon, Pearce said in an interview with GimSports' Oliver Browning. I was happy to be a part of it. Roman and I have certain chemistry on camera. He's really taken to this mob boss mentality and does it so well. Pearce has been in the wrestling business for a long time, and he knows that you can't fake everything. Real chemistry plays a huge part in how storylines operate, and he believes that his personal relationship with Reigns helped ensure that the storyline felt real to everyone. You can't teach on-screen chemistry. I think he and I have enough of a personal relationship that the conversations always felt real, Pearce continued. It was naturally fun and really easy to play off him and Paul Heyman. It took on a life of its own. I was getting ready, man, getting my boots polished, getting ready to go. Pearce was then asked about the possibility of being thrown into a main event match against Reigns and said that he would have loved the opportunity to do so, especially at a huge event like WWE Royal Rumble. But he made it clear that it wasn't his goal to get into the ring, and he wouldn't for something like that to happen. If you come to me tomorrow and say, hey, Let's rewind to the Royal Rumble. If that match was actually going to happen, there is no chance I'd turn that down, Pearce stated. That would have been incredible. But it's not something I ever pushed for or ever expected to happen. It's not something I aspire to. Yes, I technically had my last match in 2014, but it wasn't like I'm not in the ring multiple times a week. Teaching, coaching, staying fit. I wasn't worried about the physical aspect of things because I was still doing it behind the scenes. Of course, Kevin Owens replaced Pearce in the pay-per-view match, and the rest is history. Still, many fans continue to wonder what a match between Reigns and Pearce would have looked like. When most WWE fans think of Adam Pearce, they immediately recognize the polished authority figure standing at the center of Raw and SmackDown. The calm, commanding presence who keeps chaos in order and ensures rivalries remain somewhat contained has become one of the most visible non-wrestling figures on WWE television. But long before his tenure as an on-screen WWE official, Pearce was a respected competitor across the independent circuit, earning the nickname Scrap Daddy and making a reputation for himself as a gritty, no-nonsense brawler who could hang with the very best. What many fans often forget is that Adam Pearce was once this close to stepping into the ring with the tribal chief Roman Reigns. In fact, Pearce himself has now revealed just how far along those plans got and what he thinks could have been had the showdown actually happened. Pearce opens up about his almost match with Reigns. During a candid discussion on a wrestling podcast, Pearce reflected on the short-lived storyline from early 2021 that teased him as Reigns' challenger at the Royal Rumble. At the time, Reigns was deep into his record-setting Universal Championship reign, flanked by Paul Heyman and just beginning to establish the Bloodline dynasty that has since become one of the most dominant factions in WWE history. The angle kicked off when Pearce, serving as a WWE official, found himself on the receiving end of Roman's intimidation tactics. To Reigns, Pearce represented authority, and more importantly, someone who could be humiliated to demonstrate his dominance over WWE itself. In a shocking moment on SmackDown, Pearce was manipulated into signing a contract to face Reigns at the pay-per-view. Fans were stunned. Could the retired Pearce really lace up the boots and go toe-to-toe with the head of the table? People don't realize how seriously I was taking it, Pearce admitted. I was getting ready. I started training again. I knew the match probably wouldn't go the traditional way, but I wanted to be in shape, I wanted to be sharp, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could still go, at least in some capacity. From paperwork to potential comeback for Pearce, the surreal nature of being written into a storyline with Roman Reigns was not lost on him. I had spent years handling contracts, keeping the peace, being the guy who makes sure shows run smoothly. And suddenly, there I was, being told, hey, you're going to main event with the biggest star in the industry. It was a shock. But it was also kind of thrilling. Although the match was ultimately scrapped, with Kevin Owens taking the spot instead, Pearce revealed that the creative team had tossed around several possibilities. Some pitches even included Pearce taking a few bumps, going through a short sequence, and showing flashes of the Scrap Daddy that longtime fans remembered. Even if it was 5 minutes, I think it would have been incredible, Pearce said with a smile. Not because I thought I was going to beat Roman Reigns, let's be honest, that was never the story, but because it would have been a moment that fans wouldn't forget. A general manager dusting off his boots to stand against the tribal chief? That's the kind of thing that gets people talking. Roman Reigns' reaction to the storyline. Interestingly, Pearce also shared what Roman Reigns thought of the proposed match. Roman was all for it, Pearce revealed. He was invested. He's a storyteller, and he knew that even if the match itself was short, the build-up could be powerful. He told me, if we do this, let's make people believe. That's the mark of a great performer. He wasn't looking at me as some out-of-shape official. He saw an opportunity to add another unique chapter to his story. Reigns, according to Pearce, respected his past as a decorated wrestler outside WWE. Before ever signing with WWE as a producer, Pearce had traveled the world, winning the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship 5 times and becoming a fixture of the independent scene. Roman appreciated that I wasn't just some random guy in a suit, Pearce said. He knew I'd been in the trenches. and that mutual respect made the whole thing feel real. What could have been? Fans still speculate what might have happened had WWE pulled the trigger on Pearce versus Reigns at the Royal Rumble. Would Pearce have shocked the world by lasting longer than expected? Would there have been interference, perhaps from Kevin Owens or Jey Uso, leading to a chaotic finish? Pearce himself likes to imagine how things could have played out. "I think it would have started off with Roman trying to embarrass me," Pearce explained. "He'd probably laugh, shove me around, make me look weak. But then, maybe I land one big shot, a lucky punch, a quick slam, and suddenly the crowd is alive. That's wrestling. It's about moments. You don't need 30 minutes to tell a story. Sometimes all you need is that one instant where fans go, 'Wait, could this actually happen?'" He paused, chuckling. "Of course, then Roman would destroy me. Let's not kid ourselves. But for those few minutes, it would have been special." Pearce's respect for Roman Reigns beyond his personal feelings about the near match, Pearce took time to praise Roman Reigns as a performer and leader. "Roman's on another level," he said. "I've been around a lot of world-class wrestlers, but what he's done with this tribal chief persona is remarkable. It's not just about being a champion. He carries himself like a superstar in every sense of the word. Sharing a ring with him, even just in a promo segment, elevated me. Imagine what a full match could have done." Pearce also believes that Reigns has single-handedly raised the bar for storytelling in WWE. He's made it clear that matches aren't just about athleticism. They're about emotion, legacy, family, respect. That's why fans are so invested. They don't just want to see Roman wrestle, they want to see the saga unfold. Pearce still ready, just in case though he admits his full-time wrestling days are behind him. Pearce hinted that he hasn't entirely ruled out one last in-ring appearance. "Never say never," he said coyly. WWE is unpredictable. One day you're breaking up a fight backstage, the next day you're signing a contract to face Roman Reigns. If the right story comes along, and if my body can handle it, I'd be open to stepping back in the ring. For now, however, Pearce remains focused on his role as a WWE official, where his steady hand continues to guide Raw and SmackDown through chaotic times. "I'm proud of what I do," he said. "But that little part of me will always wonder what it would have been like to hear the bell ring, to lock up with Roman Reigns, and to give the fans something they didn't know they wanted. The match that lives in what if territory in the end. Adam Pearce versus Roman Reigns will remain one of WWE's great what ifs. A storyline that teased fans with the possibility of an unlikely clash between a legendary indie wrestler turned official and the most dominant champion of the modern era. It would have been incredible," Pearce concluded. "Even if it lasted 2 minutes, even if I got crushed, it would have been a career highlight. Sometimes, it's not about winning or losing, it's about making history in your own way. And that, to me, is what wrestling has always been about. When it comes to WWE, rivalries, partnerships, and connections extend far beyond the ring." For Roman Reigns and SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis, that truth has become more apparent than ever. While fans recognize Reigns as the tribal chief who dominated WWE for more than 3 years, Aldis' arrival as an authority figure has quietly reshaped the Blue brand's direction. What many don't realize, however, is that Reigns and Aldis share a unique and fascinating connection that has made SmackDown one of the most compelling wrestling shows in years. This connection isn't just about power, legacy, or storytelling, it's about mutual respect, timing, and the delicate balance of authority versus dominance. To understand how these two men have become intertwined in WWE's current era, let's break it down. A collision of leadership styles. Roman Reigns and Nick Aldis could not have come from more different roads in the wrestling world. Reigns, a product of WWE's developmental system, debuted on the main roster as part of The Shield in 2012 and has since grown into one of the company's greatest attractions. His tribal chief persona redefined what it meant to be a top heel in modern wrestling. Aldis, on the other hand, made his name across the globe. Known for his time as a 2-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion and a prominent figure in Impact Wrestling, Aldis has been celebrated as a traditionalist with an old-school approach. His calm but authoritative demeanor as SmackDown general manager contrasts sharply with Reigns' commanding, often intimidating presence as the leader of the Bloodline. This juxtaposition, Reigns ruling with dominance and intimidation while Aldis governs with structure and diplomacy, has created a fascinating balance of power on SmackDown. Fans can feel the tension whenever they share the screen, as if the brand isn't big enough for two leaders. A shared understanding of legacy. Both men are obsessed with legacy, but they approach it differently. For Reigns, legacy is about ensuring his family name, rooted in the great Anoa'i dynasty, remains untouchable in wrestling history. Every time he steps into the ring, it's about asserting dominance and protecting that reputation. Aldis, meanwhile, has always carried himself as a custodian of wrestling tradition. His run as NWA champion was defined by his commitment to carrying the belt with pride, much like Ric Flair or Harley Race did decades before him. For Aldis, legacy is about respect for the business itself, not just personal glory. This shared but divergent perspective on legacy is what binds them. When Reigns looks at Aldis, he sees a man who respects wrestling history. When Aldis looks at Reigns, he sees someone who is carving out a modern legacy that could stand the test of time. They may clash, but deep down, there's a mutual recognition. They're both obsessed with building something that lasts beyond them. The authority versus the tribal chief. One of the most unique dynamics in WWE right now is watching how Nick Aldis handles Roman Reigns. Most authority figures in WWE history, whether it was Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, or Adam Pearce, either outright opposed top stars or bent to their will. Aldis, however, has charted a middle path. He doesn't outright defy Reigns, but he doesn't bow to him either. Instead, Aldis plays the role of a neutral, firm hand, someone who acknowledges Reigns' star power while making sure that SmackDown doesn't collapse under the chaos of the Bloodline. This balancing act has led to some of the most intense backstage interactions in recent memory. Fans remember when Aldis stood face-to-face with Reigns, speaking calmly as the tribal chief loomed over him. It wasn't fear, and it wasn't defiance, it was measured authority. That alone makes Aldis different from any other GM who has dealt with Reigns. Behind-the-scenes respect reports suggest that behind the curtain, Reigns and Aldis share tremendous respect for one another. Reigns values Aldis' history outside WWE and his ability to bring a fresh dynamic to SmackDown, while Aldis has spoken highly of Reigns' ability to reinvent himself as a once-in-a-generation attraction. This respect translates on screen. Their interactions feel authentic because both men genuinely see value in what the other brings to WWE. While fans may speculate about potential feuds, it's just as possible that Reigns and Aldis' connection could evolve into a storyline alliance or mutual understanding that elevates SmackDown even further. The connection through storytelling. Another layer to their connection is how both understand the importance of long-term storytelling. Reigns' Tribal Chief saga is widely regarded as one of the greatest wrestling storylines of the past decade, with years of payoff, twists, and emotional weight. Aldis, during his time in the NWA, was known for carrying feuds that spanned months and even years, telling stories that felt personal and earned. He brought that mindset to SmackDown, where he's been careful not to rush major feuds but instead let them breathe. Together, their presence ensures that SmackDown is not just about weekly matches, it's about epic sagas that fans feel invested in. That storytelling synergy is why their connection matters so much. Potential clashes on the horizon. As much as mutual respect exists, WWE thrives on tension. Many fans believe it's only a matter of time before Reigns pushes Aldis too far. Imagine a scenario where Reigns demands favoritism, only for Aldis to refuse. That could spark an all-out war between the Bloodline and Aldis' authority, possibly bringing in other superstars to challenge the Tribal Chief's dominance. Alternatively, Aldis could play a subtler role, quietly maneuvering behind the scenes to set up challengers who might finally dethrone Reigns. Unlike Adam Pearce, Aldis has the credibility of a decorated in-ring competitor. If WWE ever wanted to explore it, Aldis himself could step into the ring against Reigns in a blockbuster match. What it means for SmackDown's future. The Reigns-Aldis connection is bigger than just two personalities, it's shaping the future of SmackDown. With Aldis ensuring structure and Reigns driving the drama, the show has found the perfect balance of authority and chaos. As WWE continues to build toward the next WrestleMania season, fans can expect Aldis and Reigns' dynamic to play a central role. Whether they become allies, rivals, or uneasy coexistence, their connection guarantees one thing: SmackDown will remain must-see television. Roman Reigns and Nick Aldis may come from different worlds, but their paths have converged on SmackDown in a way that feels both natural and necessary. Reigns brings dominance, charisma, and star power. Aldis provides order, credibility, and authority. Together, they create a unique connection that elevates not just themselves, but the entire WWE product. In wrestling, connections often spark rivalries, alliances, and unforgettable storylines. With Reigns and Aldis, fans are witnessing a blend of mutual respect, underlying tension, and a shared obsession with legacy that could define SmackDown for years to come. Their story is still being written, but one thing is clear: the tribal chief and the general manager are tied together in ways that make WWE more compelling than ever.